Welcome back to my channel, Valuable Rare Coins. If you love discovering hidden treasures in your pocket change, you're in the right place. First, we'll uncover some of the most valuable and rare US coins that could be worth a fortune. Let's dive in. We're talking about the 2023 United States 5 cents coin, commonly known as the nickel. You might think this is just another coin to use for vending machines or parking meters, but there's more to it than you might expect. Stick with me as we dive deep into the details of this coin and reveal just how much it could be worth. Let's start with a little history. The nickel has been a staple of American currency for over 150 years. Introduced in 1866, the nickel was designed to replace the silver 5-cent pieces that were becoming too expensive to mint. Over the years, the design of the nickel has undergone numerous changes, with some of the most iconic designs being the Buffalo nickel and the Jefferson nickel. Fast forward to today, and the 2023 5 cents coin is a modern interpretation of the nickel, but with its own set of features that make it interesting to collectors. Now, the 2023 nickel is notable for a few reasons. First of all, it was minted at the Denver Mint, as indicated by the D mint mark. In terms of design, you'll see the familiar image of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse. This is the same portrait of Jefferson that's been on the nickel since 1938, crafted by Felix Schlag. The design on the reverse features Monticello, Jefferson's home, which has also been a fixture on the coin since its inception. But what makes the 2023 nickel stand out isn't just its design, it's its potential value and the factors that could make it a valuable addition to any collection. While most 2023 nickels are still in circulation and don't hold much monetary value beyond their face value of 5 cents, the story doesn't end there. For one thing, there's the condition of the coin. As with any coin, the value of the 2023 nickel increases dramatically if it's in mint condition. Coins that have been preserved and stored properly, free from scratches, dents, or discoloration, are much more valuable to collectors. These well-preserved examples can often be found in collections, but they are harder to come by in everyday transactions. If you happen to come across a 2023 nickel that looks like it just came from the mint, you could be holding something far more valuable than 5 cents, but that's not all. Minting errors are another factor that can boost the value of the 2023 nickel. Mint errors are mistakes made during the production process, and they can make a coin much more valuable to collectors. Errors can range from minor to significant, and some are so rare that they fetch high prices at auction. If your 2023 nickel has a double die, where the design is doubled in certain areas, an off-center strike, or other striking issues, you could have a coin worth far more than its face value. These errors are highly prized by collectors because they are so unique and rare. Mint errors like these can send the value of your coin soaring. Additionally, the demand for modern US coins, especially those that have minting errors or are in pristine condition, has been steadily growing. Collectors are always on the lookout for the next big discovery, and with the 2023 nickel, there's a real opportunity to make a significant profit if you happen to find the right piece. But wait, you might be wondering, how much could a 2023 nickel really be worth? Well, here's the exciting part. If you've got a 2023 nickel that's in near perfect condition, or if it has a minting error that makes it stand out from the rest, you could be looking at a coin that's worth $40,000. Yes, you heard that right. $40,000 for a 5-cent coin. It might seem unbelievable, but it's entirely possible. Coins that are rare, in exceptional condition, or have unique minting errors can command incredibly high prices in the market. So, don't just overlook your change. That seemingly simple nickel could be hiding a potential fortune. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. How do I know if my 2023 nickel is worth that much? First and foremost, you'll want to inspect the coin carefully. Look for any signs of minting errors. Are there any doubling or misalignment issues? Does the coin have any unusual characteristics that set it apart from the standard issue? If you notice something that doesn't seem quite right, you might want to get the coin professionally graded by a trusted service like PCGS or NGC. Grading services can authenticate the coin and provide a value based on its condition, rarity, and any errors. If your 2023 D nickel is in perfect condition with no wear and tear, it could be worth a few $100s just for its condition alone. But if it has one of those rare minting errors, or if it's graded as a gem coin, the value can shoot up dramatically. Coins with these kinds of characteristics have been known to sell for tens of thousands of dollars at auctions and private sales. The key takeaway here is that the 2023 D nickel is not just another coin to toss in your pocket change jar. If you happen to stumble upon one that is in excellent shape, or better yet, has a rare minting error, you could be sitting on a potential gold mine. So, always be on the lookout when you handle coins, because you never know when you'll find a hidden treasure. In conclusion, while the 2023 D nickel might seem like just another coin you'll pass by, it could actually be a valuable find if it's in excellent condition or has a minting error. And who knows, if you find the right one, you could end up with a coin worth as much as $40,000. Second rare coin, we're talking about the 1943p United States 5-cent coin, commonly known as the 1943p nickel. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll understand why this coin is worth way more than just 5 cents. Let's take a step back in time to 1943. It was a pivotal year in American history. The United States was deep into World War II, and the country was facing challenges that would shape its future for decades to come. The government had to make strategic decisions about how to allocate resources, and one of those decisions impacted the production of coins. During the war, the U.S. Treasury began minting coins using alternative materials to conserve copper, which was in short supply for military ammunition. This resulted in some very interesting and incredibly valuable coins, including the 1943 steel cent and, of course, the 1943p nickel. Now, let's focus on the 1943p nickel. At the time, the U.S. Mint was producing nickels made from a blend of copper and nickel. But due to the wartime shortages, something unusual happened that year. A few of the coins were accidentally struck with a wartime composition of 35% silver, which was a rare and unintended mistake. While this wasn't intentional, the coins that were minted with this silver content are some of the most highly sought-after items in the numismatic world today. The 1943p nickel is one of those coins, and its rarity makes it a true collector's gem. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly makes the 1943p nickel so valuable? First and foremost, the composition is a big part of it. Since only a small number of these coins were minted with silver, they are far rarer than their regular nickel counterparts. The mistake was so rare that most people didn't even realize they were handling something extraordinary at the time. These silver-based 1943p nickels have since become a prized find among collectors, and that's where the value begins to skyrocket. If you hold a 1943p nickel in your hands, you'll notice the design that has remained iconic since 1938, Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, with his portrait designed by Felix Schlegel. Surrounding the portrait are the words "Liberty," "In God We Trust," and the year 1943. On the reverse, you'll see Monticello, Jefferson's home, as the centerpiece, surrounded by the words "E pluribus unum" and 5 cents. But the real magic happens when you look at the composition. Unlike the majority of nickels made from a standard copper-nickel blend, the 1943p nickel struck with silver has a distinct metallic sheen and weight. These coins were mistakenly made with a higher silver content, which makes them incredibly rare to find today. Now, let's talk about the condition of the coin. As with any rare coin, the condition plays a crucial role in determining its value. Most 1943p nickels that were used in everyday transactions have experienced wear and tear, reducing their overall value. However, if you manage to find one in excellent condition, especially if it's been well preserved and shows little to no signs of wear, it can be worth an absolute fortune. Coins that remain in mint condition are much more valuable, as collectors are always on the lookout for high-quality pieces to add to their collections. Here's where things get really exciting: minting errors. Over the years, Many collectors have discovered that some 1943p nickels were struck with additional errors, such as double dies, off-center strikes, or even unusual die cracks. These mistakes are incredibly rare and make the coin even more desirable to collectors. If you happen to find a 1943p nickel that has one of these minting errors, you could be holding onto a coin that is worth far more than you might expect. Now, you may be asking yourself, how much is this coin really worth? Well, the answer might surprise you. If you have a 1943p nickel in near mint condition, or one with a minting error, you could be looking at a price tag in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. The 1943p nickel, especially the silver ones with unique characteristics, can fetch upwards of $490,000. Yes, you heard me right, $490,000 for a single nickel. It may sound unbelievable, but when you consider the rarity and condition of the coin, it all makes sense. A coin that was once overlooked by most people could now be the ticket to a significant payday. And that's the beauty of coin collecting. Sometimes, the most unexpected finds turn out to be the most valuable. If you're lucky enough to own a 1943p nickel in good condition, or if you think you've found one with a minting error, you'll want to get it professionally graded by a trusted service like PCGS or NGC. Professional grading can authenticate your coin, determine its value, and help you sell it at the best possible price. These grading services are essential when dealing with rare and valuable coins, as they provide credibility to potential buyers. So, what do you do if you find one of these rare coins? First, don't rush to spend it or toss it into a drawer. Take a moment to inspect it thoroughly. Look for any unusual characteristics or errors. Then, have it professionally graded to understand its full potential value. A coin like this is a valuable investment, and with the right care and attention, you could be looking at a windfall. In conclusion, the 1943p United States 5-cent coin may seem like just another nickel, but its unique history and rare minting errors make it a treasure for collectors. Whether it's in near mint condition or features a rare minting error, this coin could be worth a staggering $490,000. So, the next time you come across an old nickel, take a moment to inspect it closely. You never know, it might just be the 1943p nickel that turns into a collector's dream. Third expensive coin, we're about to explore a seemingly ordinary coin, the United States 5-cent coin from 1975D, but trust me, this small piece of American history might be hiding something extraordinary. By the end of this video, you'll be wondering if the nickels in your collection or pocket could be worth far more than you thought. Now, before we dive into why this specific coin is worth so much, let's take a trip back to 1975. It was a year of transition for the United States, a time when the country was adjusting to new economic realities, changing political landscapes, and global challenges. The 1975 5-cent coin, commonly known as the nickel, was part of the regular circulation series minted that year. Featuring the iconic Thomas Jefferson portrait on the obverse and Monticello, his beloved home, on the reverse, this nickel looks just like many others from the 20th century. The design of the nickel, created by Felix Schlegel, has been a cornerstone of U.S. coinage since 1938. Jefferson, one of the founding fathers and the third president of the United States, is a symbol of liberty and democracy, while Monticello represents the historical significance of American architecture and heritage. For decades, this design was one of the most familiar faces of U.S. currency, but here's the interesting part. While most 1975D nickels are still circulating today and carry only the face value of 5 cents, certain factors can make this seemingly ordinary coin highly valuable. You see, 1975D nickels were minted at the Denver Mint, as denoted by the D mint mark on the coin. At the time, the U.S. Mint had established a steady coin production process to meet the demands of the growing population. However, a few of these coins managed to slip through the cracks, having special characteristics that make them extremely rare. To start, we have to talk about the condition of the coin. As you probably know, Coins that have been well preserved over the years are far more valuable than those that show heavy signs of wear and tear. The reason for this is simple. Coins that retain their original details, shine, and crisp features are rarer than those that have been heavily circulated. If you find a 1975 D nickel in mint or near mint condition, you could already be sitting on a valuable piece of history. Collectors are always looking for coins in exceptional condition, and the market for high-quality examples has been growing steadily, but there's more to this story than just condition. Minting errors play a huge role in determining a coin's worth, and if you happen to stumble upon a 1975 D nickel with one of these rare errors, you could be in for a windfall. Minting errors happen when a mistake occurs during the striking process at the mint, and these errors are highly sought after by collectors. For example, some 1975 D nickels have been discovered with double die obverse errors, where parts of the design appear doubled or misaligned. Others have been struck off-center or with die cracks, all of which can add significant value to the coin. As you can imagine, finding one of these error coins is not easy, and that's why they can be so valuable. When you come across a 1975 D nickel with a minting flaw, it's a good idea to have it examined by a professional coin grader to assess its potential value. A double die error or another minting anomaly can send the value of the coin soaring. Just how much could a 1975 D nickel be worth? Well, the value of this coin depends on several factors: its condition, whether it has a minting error, and how much demand there is for such a rare find. But here's the exciting part. If you've got a 1975 D nickel that's in excellent condition or features a rare minting error, the coin could be worth an incredible $120,000. Yes, you heard that right. $120,000 for a 5-cent coin. The value of rare coins like these can skyrocket, especially when they have unique features that make them stand out from the thousands of other coins that were produced during the same year. The world of coin collecting can be full of surprises, and this 1975 D nickel is a perfect example of how a small, often overlooked coin can hold immense value for the right collector. If you think you might have a 1975 D nickel in your collection, it's important to give it a careful inspection. Look for signs of wear, especially if it has been in circulation for many years, and check for any unusual features that might point to a minting error. If the coin appears to be in great shape or has something special about it, your next step should be to have it professionally graded by a trusted service like PCGS or NGC. They will be able to verify its authenticity, grade its condition, and assign a value based on its rarity and appeal in the market. In conclusion, while the 1975 D nickel might seem like just another coin from the past, its potential value is far higher than what you might expect. If you have one of these coins in excellent condition, or better yet, one with a minting error, you could be holding onto something worth $120,000. So, before you toss that old nickel into your change jar or spend it at the store, take a closer look. You just might have a hidden treasure on your hands. Especially, we're talking about the United States 5-cent coin from 1971 D, or more commonly known as the 1971 D nickel. While it may look like just another nickel from the 1970s, this coin has a fascinating story to tell, and it could be worth a lot of money. Stick with us to the end to find out how much this simple 5-cent piece could be worth today. Let's take a quick trip back to 1971. It was a year marked by significant political and social change in the United States. The country was experiencing the aftermath of the Vietnam War, and the economy was undergoing shifts that would impact generations to come. For coin collectors, though, 1971 was also a pivotal year for U.S. currency. That's because it was the year the 1971 D nickel was minted at the Denver Mint, with the D marking indicating its origin. Now, let's get into the design of this iconic coin. If you've ever looked at a 1971 D nickel, you're probably familiar with the classic image on the obverse: Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, whose portrait was designed by Felix Schlegel. Jefferson's profile is encircled by the words "Liberty, in God We Trust," and the year 1971. On the reverse side, You'll see Monticello, Jefferson's beautiful Virginia home, which has been a symbol of American history and culture for decades. This design has been a hallmark of the nickel for over 70 years, and it remains one of the most recognizable features of U.S. coinage. But here's the catch: while the 1971D nickel may look like any other nickel you might encounter, its rarity and value depend on several key factors. Let's dive into what makes this coin so special. First and foremost, the condition of the coin is crucial. Like any rare collectible, the value of a coin increases dramatically if it is in excellent condition. The 1971D nickel was minted in large quantities, so most of the coins you'll find today are in well-worn condition, with scratches, dings, and signs of circulation. However, if you come across a 1971D nickel that is in mint or near mint condition, you could be holding onto something much more valuable. Coins that have been well preserved over the years are rare, especially those that have survived decades of wear and tear from being passed around in everyday transactions. Next, we need to talk about minting errors. If you've spent any time in the world of coin collecting, you know that errors can make a seemingly ordinary coin worth far more than its face value. Minting errors occur when something goes wrong during the production process at the U.S. Mint, leading to a unique and often highly valuable coin. For example, some 1971D nickels have been discovered with double die obverse errors or off-center strikes, which means the design is improperly stamped onto the coin. These kinds of errors are extremely rare, and when they are found, they are sought after by collectors willing to pay a premium. The 1971D nickel is no exception. The minting errors on this particular coin, like doubled lettering or misaligned strikes, are especially valuable. These types of errors happen when the die that strikes the coin doesn't align properly or is used for too many coins. If you come across a 1971D nickel with a doubled die or any other unique error, it could increase the value of your coin dramatically. Another important factor to consider is the rarity of the coin itself. While the U.S. Mint produced millions of 1971D nickels, finding one in pristine condition or one with a minting error is not easy. Coins that are well-preserved, error-free, and free of any damage are a rarity in the world of coin collecting, and that's why these coins can fetch high prices in the market. Now that you know what makes this coin special, you're probably wondering, how much could a 1971D nickel be worth? Well, the value of this coin can range widely, depending on its condition, rarity, and whether or not it has a minting error. In general, you can expect a 1971D nickel in typical circulated condition to be worth just a few cents. But if your coin is in excellent or mint condition, or if it has a rare minting error, you could be sitting on a treasure worth much more. Here's the real kicker. If you have a 1971D nickel in unbelievable condition or one with a rare minting error, you could be looking at a value of around $139,000. Yes, you heard that right, $139,000 for a single nickel. Finding a 1971D nickel that has the right combination of rarity, minting errors, and condition is an exciting opportunity for coin collectors. And when you consider how many years this coin has been circulating, it's clear that finding one in top condition is a rare gem. If you happen to own one, it could be your ticket to a significant payout if you choose to sell or trade it. If you think you've found a 1971D nickel that may be in exceptional condition or features a minting error, it's highly recommended to have it professionally graded by a trusted service, such as PCGS or NGC. These organizations will verify the coin's authenticity, grade it based on its condition, and help you determine its true value. Once graded, you'll have a better understanding of whether your coin is a valuable collectible or just a common nickel. In conclusion, the 1971D nickel might seem like a simple coin at first, but it has the potential to be worth a lot more than you could imagine. If you come across one in great shape, or better yet, one with a minting error, you could be holding a coin worth as much as $139,000. So, before you write off that old nickel sitting in your coin jar, take a closer look. You could be sitting on a hidden treasure. Next coin, we're diving into a fascinating piece of American history, the United States 5-cent coin from 1964D. Now, this might sound like just another nickel, but let me tell you, this coin could be worth far more than you might expect. Whether you're an experienced collector or someone who's just starting to appreciate the world of numismatics, this coin could surprise you. Stick around until the end to find out how much this small, often overlooked piece of American currency could be worth. Let's take a quick trip back to 1964. It was a year of monumental change in the United States. The country was in the midst of the civil rights movement. President Lyndon B. Johnson had just passed the Civil Rights Act, and the space race was heating up with the U.S. planning its first moon landing. While these historical events were shaping the nation, the U.S. Mint was busy producing coins for circulation, including the 5-cent coin, more commonly known as the nickel. The 1964D nickel, minted at the Denver Mint, carries the familiar design that's been in place since 1938. On the obverse side, you'll see the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, designed by Felix Schlegel. Jefferson is a symbol of liberty and democracy, his likeness serving as a reminder of the nation's founding principles. On the reverse side, you'll find an image of Monticello, Jefferson's iconic Virginia home, representing his architectural legacy and his role in shaping American culture. At first glance, the 1964D nickel might look like any other nickel you might find in your change, but there's more to this coin than meets the eye. What makes this particular coin stand out is its rarity and the potential value it holds for collectors. The 1964D nickel was minted in large quantities, but finding one in pristine condition is not as easy as you might think. Over the years, many of these coins have been worn down through circulation, which makes high-quality examples much rarer and more valuable. One of the key factors that can drive up the value of this coin is its condition. Coins that have been well preserved and are in mint or near mint condition are always in high demand among collectors. The 1964D nickel, like many coins from the 1960s, was used in everyday transactions, which means most of the coins that have survived to today show signs of wear. However, if you manage to find a 1964D nickel that's in exceptional shape, you could be sitting on something worth a significant amount of money. Now, let's talk about one of the most exciting aspects of coin collecting: minting errors. Minting errors happen when something goes wrong during the coin production process, and these errors can turn an otherwise common coin into a rare and highly sought-after collectible. If you happen to come across a 1964D nickel with a minting error, such as a double die obverse or an off-center strike, then you may have a much more valuable coin on your hands. Error coins are fascinating to collectors because they're unique and can't be replicated, which makes them highly prized in the market. Minting errors on the 1964D nickel could include things like misaligned dies, die cracks, or overlapping designs. These types of errors are caused by mistakes in the minting process and can make the coin stand out in a way that regular, error-free coins can't. The rarity of error coins and the stories behind how they were created is part of what makes them so valuable. If you find a 1964D nickel with an error, it could increase the value of the coin substantially. Now you're probably wondering just how much a 1964D nickel could be worth. Well, as with most coins, its value depends on factors like condition, rarity, and any potential minting errors. In general, a 1964D nickel in average circulated condition will likely be worth just a few cents, no surprise there. However, if you've got a 1964D nickel that's in mint condition, you could be looking at a value that's much higher than its face value. But here's the exciting part. If you're lucky enough to own a 1964D nickel that's in exceptional condition or one with a rare minting error, it could be worth an incredible $300,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $300,000 for a single nickel. Now, you might be wondering how you can tell if your 1964D nickel is one of those special coins. The best way to find out is by closely inspecting your coin. Look for any signs of wear or damage, as well as any unusual features that might indicate a minting error. If your coin looks to be in excellent condition, or if it has any odd markings or imperfections, you'll want to have it professionally graded by a trusted service like PCGS or NGC. These grading companies will evaluate the coin's authenticity, condition, and rarity, and give you a better idea of its true value. In conclusion, while the 1964D nickel might seem like just another coin from the past, it holds the potential to be worth a significant amount of money, especially if you happen to have one in excellent condition or with a rare minting error. So, before you toss those old nickels into your change jar or spend them, take a closer look. You might just have a hidden treasure on your hands. Remember, in the world of coin collecting, it's not always the most obvious coins that hold the highest value. With some coins, all it takes is a little luck and a keen eye to find out if they're worth a lot more than you ever imagined. Last unique coin, we're talking about the United States 5-cent coin from 1987p, commonly known as the 1987p nickel. This may seem like just another everyday coin, but it's actually one with a fascinating backstory and potential value that might surprise you. Stay tuned, because by the end of this video, you'll learn exactly why this seemingly ordinary nickel could be worth a lot more than you think. Before we dive into the value, let's take a step back and set the stage. The year 1987 might not sound too distant, but it was a time of significant events in U.S. history. It was the year that President Ronald Reagan signed the Tax Reform Act of 1986, ushering in one of the largest overhauls of the U.S. tax code. At the same time, the economy was growing and American culture was experiencing a wave of change, from new music styles to a shift in popular trends. While the world was changing, the U.S. Mint was busy making coins for circulation, and that's when the 1987p nickel came into play. The 1987p nickel was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, with the P mint mark proudly stamped on the reverse side. It carries the classic design that's been in place since 1938. On the front of the coin, you'll find the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, one of America's founding fathers, designed by Felix Schlag. Jefferson's face on the nickel is a symbol of American values like liberty, democracy, and the pursuit of freedom. The reverse side features the iconic image of Monticello, Jefferson's home in Virginia, which has graced U.S. nickels for decades and represents his architectural legacy. Now, this is where it gets interesting. While most people don't think twice about a 1987p nickel, there are a few key details that could make this coin much more valuable than its face value. The first and most important factor is its condition. As you probably know, coins that have been in circulation for decades often show signs of wear and tear. The 1987p nickel is no exception. Most of these coins were used in everyday transactions, which means they were exposed to handling, dirt, and the inevitable wear from years of circulation. However, if you're lucky enough to find a 1987p nickel in pristine, uncirculated condition, it could be worth far more than just 5 cents. In the world of coin collecting, condition is everything. Coins that are in excellent condition, especially those that have been well preserved and kept in a protective environment, are often highly sought after by collectors. For the 1987p nickel, if the coin is free from scratches, discoloration, and damage, it could fetch a significantly higher price than a typical circulated nickel. The rarity of uncirculated coins is what makes them so valuable in the eyes of collectors, but the real magic behind this coin lies in its rarity. While millions of 1987p nickels were minted, finding one in exceptional condition is quite rare. When you factor in the age of the coin and how often it's been passed around and spent, you begin to realize just how special an uncirculated or near-mint example can be. Coins that are in outstanding condition, free from imperfections, are fewer and farther between, and collectors are always eager to add these gems to their collections. Now, let's take it a step further. There's something else that can significantly increase the value of a 1987p nickel: minting errors. Minting errors occur when something goes wrong during the coin production process. These errors can include things like misaligned dies, off-center strikes, or even double die impressions. For example, a double die error happens when the coin is struck twice by the same die, leading to a double design that is visible on the coin. These types of errors are often highly collectible, and when they're found on coins like the 1987p nickel, they can command a premium in the market. The value of a coin with a minting error can skyrocket because they are so rare and unique. Minting errors are something that only collectors with a keen eye or expert knowledge can identify, but once you spot one, you'll realize that these coins are worth far more than you might expect. If you happen to come across a 1987p nickel with a minting error, you could be looking at a coin that is worth significantly more than just 5 cents. Now that we've covered the condition and potential errors, let's talk about the big question. How much could a 1987p nickel be worth? Well, the value of this coin can vary based on its condition, rarity, and whether or not it has a minting error. A standard 1987p nickel in average circulated condition is worth, of course, just 5 cents. However, when you factor in an uncirculated condition, the value can increase considerably. For a 1987p nickel in mint or near mint condition, the price could rise to hundreds of dollars, depending on the market and demand. But here's the exciting part. If you happen to have a 1987p nickel in outstanding condition, or one with a rare minting error, you could be looking at a value as high as $67,000. That's right, $67,000 for a single 5-cent coin. It's amazing how much the right condition, rarity, and errors can add to a coin's value. The 1987p nickel may seem like a simple coin, but it has the potential to be a collector's dream. Whether you're hunting for coins at a local coin shop, checking out estate sales, or even looking through your own collection, always keep an eye out for this gem. Before you start searching through your change or digging through old coin jars, remember to carefully inspect each coin. Check for signs of wear, look for any unusual minting errors, and if you believe you've found something special, consider getting the coin professionally graded by a service like PCGS or NGC. These professional grading companies can help authenticate your coin, determine its condition, and provide a more accurate valuation. To sum it up, while the 1987p nickel might seem like an ordinary coin, it's clear that its potential value is anything but ordinary. If you happen to find one in unbelievable condition or with a minting error, you could be sitting on a rare collectible worth as much as $67,000. So, take a closer look at your nickels. They could be worth far more than just 5 cents. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future discoveries. You never know what treasure could be hiding in your coin collection. Happy hunting and happy collecting!